Up till now, we have discussed intrapersonal barriers, interpersonal barriers, and today we are going to discuss organizational barriers. What are organizational barriers? How do they disrupt the smooth flow of communication in an organization? How we can resolve them, and what points, how we can resolve them, and how we should keep in mind the occurrence of these barriers so that we avoid them and emerge as effective communicators in an organization.
मैम
So,
स्क्रीन क्यों नहीं हो रही है?
bus. I'm going to present my screen to you all now, and then you all can see I'm presenting my screen share, and yes. So now today we are going to discuss organizational barriers. Rigid hierarchical structures usually restricts the flow of communication. It means that in an organization, when the authority, when the authorities are rigid, are fixed, are dominating, the flow of communication gets restricted. There is no open flow of communication, due to which several barriers may occur in the uh, process of communication in an organization. So we are going to discuss what sort of barriers arise, how we should resolve them, by avoiding them, how an individual can emerge as an effective communicator. Okay, so now what is the second point? This is because there are numerous. Now, if the as I just discussed, that if the authorities are dominating, then it may result in the flow of information may be restricted. There may be restriction in the flow of information. Secondly, if it is a wide network, or there are many transferable points, like the information has to go through several channels to reach a designed place. In that situation, even it may distort the flow of communication. So what it is, this is because there are numerous transfer points, and each of these points has a potential to distort, delay, or lose the message. Now, what is the second type? See, number one, we understood that when there is a rigid hierarchical structure, that restricts the flow of communication. Now, next, what we read, that when there are numerous transfer points. If there are numerous transfer points, due to numerous transfer points result in a numerous transfer point has the potential to distort, delay, or lose the message, because at each point there a distortion का मतलब क्या है कि if you transfer a message from one level to another, when the message is conveyed, the person who is received, the receiver of the message, has to interpret the message. After interpretation, he further passes the message by holding certain information, or by distorting, by modifying certain information, because during the process of interpretation he didn't understand completely, and instead of seeking clarification or understanding, he conveyed further, and that may lead to distortion and delay. If the person doesn't respond at the right time, it may lead to uh, delay in the transferring of message. If the person responsible to transfer the message further skips some of the information, and he conveys further with the edited information, with the reduced information, with the lessened information, in that case also the information gets distorted, and the information gets lost. तो ये आप समझ में आ गया होगा. When there are numerous transfer points, when in an organization there are numerous transfer points, then each of these, when there are when in an organization there are numerous transfer points, and each of these points has the potential to distort, delay, or lose the message. Now, next, to obviate, to prevent this, there should be a direct contact between sender and receiver with the minimum transformation. Now, we understood that what are the issues in the transferring of the message. What? The many transfer stations. What is this problem? Many ट्रांसफर स्टेशंस. जब बहुत सारे ट्रांसफर स्टेशंस हो तो इस प्रॉब्लम को हम लोग एवर्ट या प्रिवेंट इस तरह कर सकते हैं when there is a direct contact between sender and receiver, and which with minimum transfer stations. So the problem of many transfer stations can be resolved by reducing the transfer station, because at each transfer station has a possibility to distort the message by misinterpreting, by misanalysis, by over. Okay, there are chances that at each transfer station the delaying of message may occur, which again results in the miscommunication. Thirdly, the receiver may filter some information, may and withholds some of the information with himself or herself, and transfers edited information, transfers reduced information. As a result, it may lead to miscommunication. So when there are many transfer stations, the information may get distorted, delayed, or lost. Is that okay? Now, this is what we are going to discuss in the next slide. So just let's go through this. Too many transfer stations. When messages pass from one person to another in a series of transmission, they're likely to become less and less accurate. The message gets distorted at each level because of poor listening or lack of concentration. Some employees may filter out a part of the message which they consider unimportant. And students' studies have proved that when an information passes from 5-level chain of command, passes 5 to more than 5 levels of command, only 30% of the information reaches to the bottom level. So what it is uh, what the studies have shown? The studies have shown that uh, if the information is transferred uh, in more than 5 levels down the chain of command, 30% of information reaches the bottom level. Rest 70% is distorted, lost, or delayed. So we should keep in mind, to resolve such issue, it is essential that a person reduces the number of transfer station and tries to establish the direct contact between the sender and receiver. ये आप लोग ने देखा होगा ना कि कुछ मैसेजेस होते हैं जो हम लोग डायरेक्ट देना चाहते हैं, कुछ इनडायरेक्ट देना चाहते हैं. इनडायरेक्ट उन मैसेजेस को कट देते हैं जिसमें थोड़े से बफर की जरूरत होती है. यू वांट टू रिड्यूस द इंटेंसिटी the way while they'll be received, so you use an indirect approach, right? And direct approach in which you want maximum accuracy and quick feedback, you aim for direct communication. So one should be very judicious while communicating. One should use this soft skills, use their selectivity while communicating, that what sort of approach you want to use while communicating with the second person, whether direct would be suitable in a situation or indirect. Now, fear of superiors. Now, when you are working in an organization, it is known that hierarchy exists. There is a boss, under a boss, there is a subordinate, under that subordinate, there is a subordinate working. There are also equal rank subordinates. So there is, overall, you see a hierarchical structure in a organization. So the one who is working under somebody, if he or she has to communicate with the higher authorities, it is natural for that person, for that subordinate employee, to have the fear for superiors. He fears superiors. Why? Because he may he is fearful of the adverse responses. Maybe the senior doesn't maybe the senior dislikes your response, so he may reprimand you, he may demote you, or he may be strict with you, right? So he may punish you. So these are the conditions. Because of that, one fears the superiors. And when you're working in a subordinate position, you fear to share the information as it is with the high officials, because there is a fear of demotion, there is a fear of other sort of authoritative behaviors which may make you feel restricted in the work environment, right? So this is very natural. जब हमें अपने किसी सीनियर से बात करनी होती है तो we are hesitant, we fear, we have fear. And to resolve this problem, what is essential, that one, आप कैसे रिजॉल्व करेंगे अगर आप किसी सीनियर से आपको अपनी कोई कंप्लेन करनी है या आपको ग्राउंड इंफॉर्मेशन देनी है which you think he or she may not like, then solution is that you give false information or you give um, fabricated information or you give information as it is or you give information as it is in a polite manner, right? So I think you all have guessed it right, that when you have to talk with superiors, you have to give the information as it is, but in a polite manner. And this we have discussed earlier also, students, that if how you say in a polite manner, you add I would like to tell you, I would like to inform you, it is necessary that this uh, information gets your attention so that we can work in a better manner. We are seeking for your guidance. We hope that you will be able to assist us. So, all these sorts of polite phrases help you to uh, calm the situation. And at the same time, you also say completely what you have to state. So, let's read what's written. In rigidly structured organization, fear or awe of the superiors prevents subordinates from speaking frankly. ये बिल्कुल सही बात है कि जो भी स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, जो भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, वो अगर रिजिड हो तो सबऑर्डिनेट्स अपनी बात फ्रैंकली कहने से थोड़ा सा डरते हैं. To avoid speaking directly to the boss, some employees may either shun all communication with their superiors or they may present all the information that they have. There are two possibilities. If they have to give the information to the boss, what they do, either they hide or they give the entire information. Sometimes out of fear sometimes out of fear, employees do not communicate. कभी कभी fear के because of fear जो available information भी इतना आप hesitant हो जाते हैं that you don't provide, though you know, but still you are unable to articulate, unable to state. As a result, what happens? You send the partial information. तो बहुत जरूरी है कि आप अपने बॉस से, अपने एम्प्लॉय से इंटिमिडेट ना रहें. आप उनसे फ्रैंकली बात करें और पूरी अपनी बात को कंफर्टेबल वे में यू शुड स्टेट इन फ्रंट ऑफ योर स्टेट टू योर बॉस. Fear of disclosure or non-disclosure misleads a superior. What happens? At times you become dishonest. Why? Because you're trying to hide something. You are you think that on knowing the exact situation, the boss may be unhappy or he would like to monitor you for not doing that. So what you do, that as things will get very open, very transparent, and you don't want that transparency, so what you do, you mislead us by hiding certain information. You mislead the superior. In written communication, this results in bulky reports where essential information is clubbed with important details. So at times what you do, what is the technique by not giving the information as it is? Either you make it so bulky, so much so bulky that the reader doesn't read, or the important information is clubbed with unimportant details. Now, next, this is also use of inappropriate media. Well, let's read. Some of the common media used in organizations are graphs, charts, telephones, fax machines, computer presentations, emails, slides, teleconferencing, and video conferencing. While choosing the media, you should therefore keep in mind the advantages and disadvantages and potential barriers to communication. Telephone, for instance, would be an ideal medium for conveying a confidential information. Type letters which provide a permanence are preferable for information which requires to be stored for future reference. Usually, a mix of media is best for effective communication. For example, a telephone call to book an order to be followed by the confirmatory letter ensures that there is no possible misunderstanding of the message. So, what it is, what we read, that to convey the message in an organization, the medium that is selected should be the medium that is selected should be done, should be uh, selected, it should be chosen judiciously. For example, if there is an announcement you want, you're working in a company, you are handling HR, and a merger has been done. Your company is merged with another company and it's become a big it's become a bigger company with more stakeholders and with which will provide better work opportunities, which also has a bright future to uh, make the world be aware of this merger. You need to hold a press conference. You need to make it known at a larger level where not only the employees of the two companies which have merged, but also the shareholders, other stakeholders, those who connect with the company directly or indirectly should come to know about the merger, right? So, in that situation, instead of holding a party of the officials, right? Or by floating a message internally within an organization, it should be done at a bigger level and a press conference should be called so that not only the employees of both the companies but all those people who are attached, the shareholders, stay all the shareholders, all the stakeholders get to know about the merger. Second example, students, if the information is confidential, secret, right? It is a confidential matter which has to be discussed just between the higher authorities. So, the proceedings, what is happening during the meeting or during the planning of the agenda should not be disclosed in front, should not be disclosed by sending to by sending the message to all the employees that what the higher authorities are handling these days. It should be if the message is being conveyed, it should be conveyed confidentially between the members who are involved, and the message should not be leaked with the other employees, right? So this is very important that we all select the while working in an organization, we select the appropriate media so that we sincerely so that we, with sincerity, communicate and attain the goal uh, of the organization. So now some of the common media used in organizations are all these. Whilst choosing the media, you should therefore keep in mind advantages and disadvantages. Now next. Oh, so you see, what is the situation of this employee who is sitting in front of the laptop, of the camera of the computer, and you see that his face is covered by uh, papers, by pile of papers. So this image reflects that when an employee is overburdened with piece of work, is overburdened with work, his or her efficiency decreases. He becomes inefficient because of the overload of work. He becomes non innovative because of the overload of work. He becomes pressurized because of the overload of work. So it is important that when you're working in an organization, you should declutter, you should be punctual in completing your uh, hmm, hmm. It is inconvenient, like excuse me, students, yes, as the piling of work or extra work reduces the inefficiency. So how the inefficiency is reduced? That you are the person with certain capacity, and if you have to give your time and energy to more uh, than the assigned tasks, to the assigned to more of the assigned tasks than you can handle, in that situation your work output will decrease. It will not be a high quality standardized work. Since you are doing more than what you can handle, in this sort of situation, your quality of work gets uh, unstandardized. It becomes low. Your quality of work becomes low. So it is very essential that you do not that you're not overburdened. But usually, what is seen in organization, that a lot of information is coming from all directions. So one should handle this judiciously by dividing the task into high priority and low priority, by making small, by taking small steps, by making small planners, by completing small goals, and also appreciating on achieving those goals, which builds your moral. So it is very important that you make small tasks and then achieve it, and finally congratulate yourself on achieving those goals. Now, one of the major problems faced by organization today is the availability of huge amount of data, which is which the receiver is unable to handle. Receiver should receive only that amount of facts and figures at one time that he or she can absorb, nothing extra. The usual result of information overload are, so what are the results? Fatigue, boredom, disinterest. Firstly, How do people respond to this kind of information? They disregard. आप selective हो जाते हो. You pay attention to one sort of information and disregard the other. As a result, delayed transferring of message. As a result, loss of message. As a result, um, distortion of message. Thus, you should take workload as much as you can handle. Secondly, they're likely to make errors when they become overwhelmed. This is quite natural. We all are humans. If you are overburdened with a lot of work, you tend to make errors. So one should be careful that when you are overwhelmed with a lot of information, you should be uh, calm and composed to handle that information. Thirdly, they may delay responding to information at least for the time being. Yes, when you're overloaded, delaying of message occurs and they become highly, of course, there'll be uh, a strategy is formed to see that which are high priority tasks, which are low priority tasks. As a result, all the information cannot be processed. So this may result in communication selectivity. And very often vital information, yes, and as information is coming from all sides, there is one person who is handling all the information. There are fair chances of um, important information getting mixed with unimportant. As a result, one may lose opportunities to grow and develop. Hence, one should be very careful that one is not getting burned out. One is not being loaded by a lot of information, because a calm and composed mind processes information in a better manner rather a stressful person. ठीक है स्टूडेंट्स, आप लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है व्हाट आई एम सेइंग?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, what are the dangers of information overload? Now, this is the survey of Project Manager 2016, and according to this, 31% institutions expect too much information gathering. 37% stressed about all the information they have to keep track of. And 16% feel fewer gadgets lead to less information load. Now, what are the dangers? That 60% feel that fewer gadgets. If you have less gadgets, there'll be less information load. You know that, for example, students, you all know that when you have an email account, there's so many messages coming in your inbox, despite being uh, despite being unaware of updating those places about your telephone number. This happens because when you go shopping, you mention, and then as promotions and social category, you constantly receive messages, and in your phone, this unimportant information is joined with important information, right? So these are all the dangers of information overload. Now, to reduce screening of information, if you have to reduce information overload, then you should screen the information. What is screening of information? Screening of information is, right, when um, you get the message, you should see what is important and what is unimportant. The unimportant should be saved, whereas the important one should be saved. whereas the unimportant should be discarded. So this is what we do to reduce information overload. That firstly you classify your information according to uh, according to um, the priority, and then uh, you also highlight the major points, and after that leave all the irrelevant things. Now, what are the tips for effective communication? Create an open communication environment. This point I've explained earlier, that what is open communication environment? Where the communication environment is uh, the is is when the subordinates, lower rank officials, feel free to communicate with people working in higher position. When a subordinate can easily and directly go to a higher official authority to discuss, to communicate their problems, this is uh, man, this is the essence of open communication. When there is no hierarchical authority by the when there is when the high authority is not oppressive, rather it opens a door of the people working under him him approach him to solve the issues. That sort of open communication environment is an essential. Now, whenever we are communicating within an organization, we should always keep the receiver in mind. Today in the class, I gave you two examples. What was the one for the press conference? When there's a merger between what was it? I'll repeat. When there was a merger of a company, you need to inform this big news to all the stakeholders, to all the employees of the two companies. Then you need a press conference. Whereas if the information revolves around individuals, two individuals, it can be conveyed through a mail or a letter. So we have to always keep the receiver in mind. Who's going to receive that information? By doing so, we articulate the information in a manner that it is smoothly understood by the receiver. Then we also understood that too many transfer stations should be avoided. We also read that the communication should not be done when person is emotionally disturbed. We also know that uh, there are various cultural variations. There is diversity, so one should be uh, tolerant towards and acceptable or broad-minded towards other traditions, beliefs, and practices. Use appropriate nonverbal cues for effective communication. It is required to develop skill not only verbally but also non-verbally. One should have positive language, happy facial expression, and confident posture so that one can easily influence others. Select the most suitable medium. This we have just discussed, that the selection of appropriate media should be done so that the information is received in a uh, impactful manner. and analyze the feedback. One should, what is said, what is unsaid, so it should be analyzed uh, sincerely, and then the response should be given. Now, students, I would like you all to watch this video. I'm posting the link on the chat, and that will give you um that how why we fail in communication. So just see this and then we'll discuss. Any problem?